We'll talk about it today. How to calculate the capacity of an energy storage
based
system
on my
experiences. And today you will get a calculator. For such calculations, I will also present you with a series of questions and answers, which I'm asking to my clients, to people who want to build their own energy storage. They want to have such an energy storage. It doesn't matter if you will be 20 kilowatt hours or 2 megawatts. But it's very important. Yeah, in regards to that, people just want to build them. 130W7 charge 115 discharge function. By the 23rd, the warehouse is practically running out. We are hungry for this energy storage capacity. There might be a situation. Mr. Yanek has built himself a workshop, because here we need about 300 kilowatt hours and more. This is something I often point out during a conversation. Simple calculation, simple logic. Hey, I would like to solve a problem for many people. Since many people are calling me and asking, I'll ask them a question later, and I would just like all of this. Arrange. Today the first film will be about this. What should the storage capacity be? Applied to you. Is it in the company? Is it in the hotel? Is it at the farmer's? Is it in an ordinary house? Single family? Yes, in off-grid. Due to the fact that many people don't know how to approach this, right? Because not everyone sits in this every day. Well, I've been in this topic for several years now, and in particular, I'm developing the topic related to energy storage. I've already seen so many installations. I'll show you a few things today. You'll see what different options there are. Why of using this energy? Yeah, I would like to return in today's video, above all, to get your attention. Yes, we are constantly developing our installations. You just need to approach this in a certain way. To know that our appetite is, it grows as you eat. And that's exactly what this video is about today. I would like to show you, we're thinking about something today. And in 2 years, there will be something different, so I'm showing you one. What I wanted to point out, look. It all started with this installation. This installation started here. 2 years ago, a heat pump was just created, as you can see. There is another receiver when it comes to the issue related to YY current. It was just the beginning because later, I removed that inverter. I've moved everything to that little room, on which I also placed panels. I'll show it to you in a moment. We've got about 5 kilowatts here. The air conditioner hasn't arrived yet, so it's all about development all the time. The inverters have arrived for testing. This installation is constantly changing. You see the mess, but there are tests going on all the time here. So, it happened all the time. She came over. Of course, the weather was always, but she is needed here. So we keep going. The generator has arrived, and so has the electric car. As you can see, something will be changing all the time in your life. There will be induction at home soon. So everything will be on electricity. So I'm going to start thinking about it again. Install photovoltaics to change something. Add that. A couple of panels thrown in. Well, for now, it's still not connected. And all the time, it's like, in my life and everyone's. So to speak, to every person. Yes, something is always developing. Even having a company, you will have a situation. You just need something new. Your company is growing. Yes, technology is developing. The hotel will need several more chargers. Yes, your house will indeed have an electric car. Someone will install a pump, someone will install anything. Something that will just consume electricity. Yes, you will also be there all the time. Develop your installation. And I would like in this movie, explain a few things to you and go through this process. Or become more aware that you develop an appetite as you eat. So, let's start. Calculator, which I created especially. I wish you very easy. Because later I'll tell you how to use it. What is it for? You have a calculator below. By the way, thanks for the subscription. Of course, please let me know if you have any suggestions. How to improve it? Yeah, the logic is very simple, and I'll explain it later. I would like to show you why now. Practice, that is, what does it look like? Why such energy management? Why and why? Let's start with why. Can start immediately with thick pipe large installation. Why there is more than 100 kilowatts YM photovoltaics. So I'm already showing you. Here we have installation on 2 inverters. At this point, as you can see, no small production, because it is frame goes a little bit with microinverter added, so far which is still attached. From the grid side, we just wanted to make if the inverter will break, something will happen to the batteries, so that no one goes head to neck. And I just did something there just by itself. Why it went to aggregate was to provide simply current certainty, so three kind of different grid sources, YY aggregate network, YY 3 safeguards, just to keep the company running all the time. YY, and here we have at this moment all the time, as you can see, no will 20-30 kilowatts. I'll show you how it all looks. See here, we have an average. Take, for example, the previous day. See you in the morning. In the morning it was very no bad, no, because PKA produced 12. Microinverter 1224, so practically strictly self-consumption. There was a little bit of charging here. This battery YY in the day went slightly up percentage. YY no battery charging. But you can practically see each other right away, unloaded here. Until 1935. Yesterday was a day a bit cloudy. But I'll show you how it worked during the day. Which was YY no cool, so to speak, working. See here, at night we had to strengthen 24. It later increased to 35. And then it got smaller in the evening. Now what about the installation itself? PKA very beautifully produced such a installation, east-west truth. So we have YY, PKA no at 11, reached cool already YY results. Because 38 was the production of the PKA itself. Photovoltaic installation to these inverters and also on microinverters. On the so far was 16, so we had over 50. Here about strict no. There was a surplus, which as you can see also charged our magazine. Well, probably almost full. Well, almost full. Yes, and at this moment. Here you can see this curve of how it was loading. Then of course the electricity dropped. YY and it started YY. Shipping to the network. Here at this moment this tummy truth YY no and what? We began to unload. Later battery OD 17 hours. By 10 p.m. it was unloaded. The warehouse was not full because usually unloaded until about 12 at night. But what I tell us is that we had all-time 20-30 kilowatts consumption. YM storage capacity, it is YY about YY. No. 130 YY. Kilowatt hours. Very loudy. They have increased in recent days. See this after 715. YY kilowatt hours. They were about 500. I Discord charge YY. Well, if PKA gave as much. Well, it was 94 YY, but the maximum of them. We have a capacity of 150 kWh, sorry, 2 by 70. This dominant utility will be less. YY check. 130 YY 7 Charl 115. 134 Charl 128. 130 140 charging discharge. About so sometimes 120 a few. So we have YY. As if such an installation, and from use are YYC 500. 600 500. Here above 600, so such a warehouse is enough for us. For a few good hours just. Increased self-consumption. It will be developed to 300 kilowatt hours. So in these summer periods practically, we will have a situation that we are independent. But that's not the most important thing right now. The most important thing is that YY this type of installation YY just. It ends at some point. How will we see these days? You see, here the discharge ended to 20% at 22. Let's go in a few days. And here at 21 even the truth. 22:45 here at. This is what we mean. So this tummy is what the battery provided us. Yes. Let's go on, there were these. Jagged here, beautiful production. To 23. Practically the warehouse will unload. So that at this moment he can YY being charged well because it is also YY need to have something. We have to have the right surplus. Where it starts here. These are microinverters. They give their truth. So YY know you can see that this YY consumption. 500 kilowatt hours, roughly 500, 600. At PVC where she gives. In stick YY no now it's 50. 60 plus microinverter for sure for 20 will give. Additionally, we have such a situation. Let's go back. So as to show you what it looked like here. Here are such beautiful curves. So we see. Charge the battery until 12:45. Later sending to the grill. YY and YY no here PK which beautifully has here has such a. Is flattened more because it is east-west. And consumption that at night are slightly less. About 20 years later they increased to about. YY 30. Relations now I will show you know my installation. YY already YY we pass. In my case it is and here it works completely differently. Here we have donating to the network YY. There was some wear and tear. Because I try every day. At dynamic tariff somewhere there. So that this battery current, to a certain YM. Percent unload thanks to the MS here. Which YY. It works and controls it, so he himself at the right hours. YY so YY you can see. All the time somewhere there are some such dependencies. Here, for example, is great, because we have a very good production. YY here we have discharge. Here we have loading from a certain moment. And here Sobel very tiny daily consumption right. So he charged us. Unloaded and that's it. YY so YY. This magazine operates on principles such that. In on me. Buffers the action. Yes. From use, here, for example, was visible typical charging. Car during these hours. And he knows here no longer when all this to the battery. So later also myself. Recharged to a certain their range and unloaded. This is the system. Where I have about 15 YY. YM kilowatt pikes on the roofs. YY practically works me a little bit. YY. 25 kilowatts is an energy storage. YY and there will be more. Because of this, that it is more of an energy storage so YY, temporary backup. What else besides that? YY is charging electric car. YY now the pump comes in so such periods will start, where not. There will be a lot of surpluses, will be fun, when the sun shines and it would be nice. As if it charged us just such a larger magazine EE. For example, 60 or 70, is hourly. And I plan of course. 2 to 3 such warehouses in the future, so YY this period YY September. October, even November. I hope it is very long. Like now was the sun. So YY. You see what the dependencies are and you see how YY. These systems can work differently. We can charge cars. We can strictly go into self-consumption. We can play in Ogrid and YM. Here. This Ogrid is YY cool especially until September. October if not, you just have to have bigger. Energy storage. Greater. YY. More placed. YY photovoltaics. And we will fly let's say the whole September. As you can see. YY here was loading. Car YY little battery. Unloading. To the network here was bad I see. But we unloaded a little to the net. Because we had something. Because we had 25 kilowatt hours of capacity. These 10 usually. Somewhere I give myself in the evening to the network. I leave the rest. And either load the car a little, or whatever else I do. As you can see, I had to recharge somewhere. I took a little. You see, there was a charge. Electric car. All night was probably somewhere. A very rough day. Clouds probably some wear and tear. Which compensated the battery slightly. As you can see when. And because PK is the battery compensated. Here it recharged slightly. Not charged much. But in the evening she gave to the EE network here. No OJ a very bad day. Apparently there was nothing to give in the evening. Although not here probably not. It was where so. And here we have one again. You can say nice day, where consumption came into production. The battery wasn't charging, it was discharging here to the network. And so on and so forth. It's worth checking if there's anything more here. Yes, but you can check it out for yourself. Let's say September looked in terms of production and unloading and collections. Yeah, so what? I'm really going all out. So you can possibly come back and take a look. How is all this? Yes, it's working here. By calling, I would like to make you aware of one very important thing. As I've already said before, we're constantly developing this system, but we're always lacking something. We're constantly why? We are hungry for this capacity. We have an energy warehouse and we want to develop. Our company's houses are constantly developing. We don't need it. There are more and more of these energy storage facilities. I would like to organize this a bit and why. So you'll understand. Approximately, who needs it? Or how much do I really need? Because it's not a problem to do it today. Megawatt at home, right? After PV key. Or 2 megawatts of capacity and actually have an off-grid system. But it also has to make sense. It usually happens when we can do it in one battery cycle. Yes, that is its capacity. Don't use it through YY. Yes, you could say it's the first day. YY. And here it's like, before these questions that I usually ask, or I'm developing these topics with customers, with people who would like to have an energy storage. I would like to present to you a situation where YY. We know that, yeah, as I've already said, appetite grows as you eat, and everyone is somewhere out there. It's developing. I'd like to show you various options here. Sometimes, for example, we start to think from the grid or a small installation, and then it grows because, for example, we'll build ourselves an extra one. Some proverbial workshop or extra stuff, just the receptions. Yeah, we have an electric car that was delivered to us. We have induction. Yes, our company is developing in various ways. We need more and more power. And I'm here as if I would like to start a topic related to this, to draw your attention primarily. As for that, within the framework of YM. You have time. I just want more and more of it. And you need to think about it beforehand. It's better to think it through beforehand, and not later. Yes, and keep putting money in. And all the time, why somewhere out there why? Change this installation only once, do it this way, so that we could, let's say, develop it. For example, we can expand this warehouse twice. We built such an installation. But we have a place in case of anything, to add this PVK to. We need to think about it that we have 5 today. But we'll probably need it in 10 years, maybe 15 to want to live in some kind of energetic comfort somewhere. So here, based on such things, after my experiences, I would also ask you for your comments. Yeah, if I've made a mistake here, it doesn't agree with yours, calculations with what you're currently thinking about. Right, because I'm also constantly. I'm learning that I'm not the smartest. So if we have a situation where we have typical offlit and YY no, we're even warming up. What a mess, these are relatively minor expenses. So we can say that from the use. Wait here. Yes, I already know what's going on. We can tell each other that such an installation is about a 5 kilowatt topic. Plus minus on one phase sometimes. She will often do it. Yes, up to 30 kilowatt hours. In the summer, about 15, let's say in this autumn period. I'm not talking about winter because winter is already a generator and fun. Yes, she is not connected to the network. Yes, the consumption is much lower, take a look. Yeah, let's see what the fridge has to offer. Yeah, maybe a Thermomix for a moment. Someone is still laughing, isn't it? But we need to have 5 kilowatts guaranteed. The consumptions will be small because it will be 5. 7 kilowatt hours might be a lot for someone. In English. We wish we had the power. No, I don't have the opportunity to act, so we need these 5 kilowatts. We're also adding a tiny generator, just in case. Go plug it in and quickly on the first phase, if possible. Or we buy a three-phase front. Especially three-phase. No. Because we are in a difficult situation, just in case we run out. Why? Or just so that it works longer. So, look here, we already need it. 20 to 30 kilowatt hours. Because of what? Because we have kWh. Also, we want our system to. It really worked for 2 days. So we are making such a small and tiny energy storage 2015. Well, if someone really wants to go somewhere, then it's 30 kilowatt hours. And it's enough for, let's say, 1 or 2, 3 days of such activity. Yeah, when the clouds come, for example, in the fall. As for example, a house very similar to mine. Where do we have about 10 kilowatt topics? The consumption installations are in the YY range. 15 to 20 kilowatt hours. Powers are also needed because, maybe an electric car, but not yet. But there are some other deductions going on, right? So, sometimes it's necessary. Yeah, a heat pump is a few good kilowatts. So these, sometimes a 5 kilowatts installation can take a toll on us. Yes, there is such a need. We have, the connection power is 12 kilowatts, so it's also too much. We won't work here. But this is probably the most common power, which manifests itself in homes. Yeah, that's how it looks. We're rarely in the garden because we don't need to. So, yeah. For example, we can only, can we connect some basic things or something like that? Television. Get yourself a suitable refrigerator and so on. For example, a safety circuit. Or just everything is going our way. No, a house in 3 phases. So what? But if it's really something. If it comes, then it's these 20. We have enough for at least 30 kilowatts per hour. 1 or 2 days, really, maybe 2. The YY generator is also YY good to always have as some kind of security. He doesn't have to be. In this case. But in the case when we're having network outages. Yeah, I did it on purpose that it's not there. There are network failures. We need a little bit. Just have more of this. This is what I've marked here. Yeah, it produces more or less. Such values of 80, 50 kilowatt hours already, yeah. I mark 80 in the fall, which is 50 kilowatt hours. It will be summer, yeah. We're increasing our power. Yes, because we often need to have, for example, an electric car. And so that my wife doesn't talk. Something is not working there, just as I am right now, at this moment. She is asking me. Wants to connect a few more things and there. And you probably started the car, right? So, yeah, we also need to pay attention to this, that these powers are adding up for us. And to live. Feel comfortable. We also need to take care of ourselves properly. Increase the connection power. Increase the power of photovoltaics, increase the energy storage. Because his bridge will also grow as time goes by. When will this energy store grow for us? We need EE in Gliwice. If we want, of course, on this. For example, on this backup, we also have 15 kilowatts because as we. Here, the YY network is not. If he won't help, then we also have to increase these. Orbital backup possibilities, not 3, 5 kilowatts for basic things. But already more. We also see an increase in consumption, as you can see. Well, I always recommend around 60, 70 kilowatt hours so that it's already on such a house. And that's basically me too. I think the minimum is. But, the truth is. YY for 20 kilowatt inverters. We can calmly plug in YY. 2 batteries, whether it will be on the sofa or not. For example, some 25 on D. There are already 2 batteries in there. You can do it without any problem. We're going further. There might be a situation. Mr. Yannick really built himself a workshop, and what do I need more of? I need more of these kilowatt hours and. Yes, of course, there are also these intervals here. It's enough for 1 day. We can produce much more. Look, practically production should always be ours. YY production. Even autumn should be adjusted. With what we can charge. Just to have the opportunity to recharge. And when it comes, such a YY. Such a cloud the next day. Just to recharge the previous day. Sometimes we need more power from the network. No, because there is a welder, because there's something else too. Farmers have straw choppers, and there are all sorts of different things. Which sometimes need more power. There's a heat pump and some heaters. Not heaters, boilers, various options are true. Because in Gliwice. The question is whether we need to limit NAS here. Inverter, really, those 20 kilowatts. We can use a frequency converter. Have a bigger one, as you can see here too. Well, let's say a 50 kilowatt PV system is like Pikachu, and 40
It all
is not.
depends.
You see, everything is? Yeah, you need to ask later. Know where these powers are. Where are they needed? Yes, the generator can also be bigger. Maybe it doesn't have to be so big,
30
kilowatts, but everything depends on
Which way
this.
should we go?
Do we want this generator to be connected? Will we not use it at all? It's good to always have any kind of generator. He will always help us. Well, here we already have YY. Such an installation. Let's say bigger. Although it's not big for everyone. This is something based on what I've been showing you. Here, we need about 300 kilowatt hours and more. And there's no power on one anymore. We only count in hours for 2 days. In the case of off-grid, we can expand it, yeah. We can do it off-grid. If the connection capacities are just like that, and we can't put more of this PVK, right? I'm going to use it in pick shopping. So, for example, if we have higher consumption, and for example, YY great, it's only 50 kilowatts, we can have 70. YY sometimes somewhere in the peak YY get. We need it, let's say, at the hotel. Some chargers will arrive, and so on and so forth. I specifically made these energy storage units small EE because it can be nicely incorporated YY into something YY. I don't know, concrete, somehow. YY passages. Fences. Yeah, I don't know, buried wells. No, different options. You can do it in the sewer, so? There are various options. I'm always in favor of building such batteries. I wish it was somewhere out there. I have it with me. But it's me, but you don't have to worry about anyone, just for safety reasons. Even LFT can make different things happen, huh? As you can see, they are also in use. Big because sometimes it's such a hotel. Is it a farmer? I need these several tens of good kilowatts. Just have the power. And I personally agree with that. I'm able to, let's say, carry out such installations. I'm not even talking about megawatts anymore. I don't want to get involved in this for now. I think it's not like that either. Yeah, my client. I prefer to work on such small installations and build these 200, 300, 500 megawatts, right? YY kilowatt hours. We can do it calmly. For example, electric cars. No, because now it's this. What I often pay attention to during a conversation. YY 1.1. Question. What are the peaks of energy consumption? So, what are our biggest consumptions in some YY? Temporary for that. To adapt to this. For example, if we want to be in the area. So we have to build ourselves accordingly. It's true that we have a big inverter, right? If not, then we'll connect from Guida's side. And I also don't have a problem with it. We'll just consume as if. Maybe from the battery or from the PV panels, but we'll take care of the rest. Glitch, that is, the YY network. Yes, there are different cases, so what are the She is needed to determine what it is. What is the power of the inverter and what is the potential power? She usually connects YY. And I'm doing my best, so what do we need? What are the average consumptions in the summer? It's good to know that in winter. It's good to measure it well. Is it possible in small isolations with help? Pstryka, yes or no? Is it just with ordinary gauges? Electricity consumption. It's important to know this because it will determine our capacity. The necessary energy storage. Usually, the super energy storage will operate in this range. Yes, autumn and yes, spring, autumn. So let's say March, October. Later, it's already fun and you have to enjoy yourself. Or build larger installations. To extend this image, even though I've already done it too. It's starting to not quite work out in our case. Here, Polish is profitable, but someone wants to. We also need to have greater capacities if we want to. Extend this autumn period of activity for yourself. No, because a cloud will come. We've already had such periods. You can see it now, right? Anyway, we're also decreasing everything. The time of day when it comes to the possibility of production, really? So here are the next such topics. What is the connection power and can it be increased? This question is important. For example, in my case, I have 12. I want, send more, for example, to the network in the evening, right? So, you need to know about it. Can I release more than 12 to the network? Maybe, if I have a charger, induce something there. There's still something out there, we'll definitely catch more than 12, and that's connecting. Yeah, cool, Yeah, for safety, we may need to build. So a big warehouse and a big warehouse and a big photovoltaic system and an inverter to simply be able to manage these surpluses. Yes, the selection of an inverter is very important. The distances from the battery are very important. Due to that at high voltage. In energy storage, it's not a big problem. We can just take it out of the house. These few dozen meters. Put it out there somewhere feel safe. Why even how can this some law come in? So it's just going to be why easier and safe. Thinner. First of all, I always tell customers that you have to sleep why. Safe why you have to sleep safe. Don't think about it, that this warehouse is somewhere and something might happen. Why somewhere this border everyone has different. And, we try not to cross those boundaries. Place for batteries. Important question because of this. Some people can put it in the garage. Some can why. Build yourself, for example, some housing. Building outside from panels. Someone invented that Z in concrete is. Papa will put the truth. In some why and some why now will cover it with concrete. No different options. Someone will buy a container. So why someone will buy a freezer. So you can put it in different places. You can also catch it later. Build to make it look nice. Why I always say one. In terms of safety. If it explodes, whether we pour it with water, will the guards come or whatever happens? What happens anyway? Very rarely. But if anything, then everything is to be expelled. So I think, first and foremost, the main priority is so that nothing happens to anyone. And the end. And the rest is unfortunately to throw away. So here why little disclaimer or how. They really call it that. To be the most secure to be the system. When something happens, there is no water. No longer then there are only losses. So the earlier we take care of it all, the simply better. The next question is this. In Uglita. Why? Because this oblit is why no very. Taki. No unusual in our location. None in Augusta. In winter it is very dark, where no one can live. When you have small just take how you have big take. Unfortunately it is very difficult. Very large expenses, very high costs. Why question is next. I ask again what is already done, or what at the moment. Why and you have already built. Done because it's also why. The president is training whether we can develop it or not. Are we building something from zero or? No as you can see. I always ask that. Nice to send me, for example, this insert. But it's typical for me WhatsApp why. Contact WhatsApp in movie. How it all looks to be judged. Because not everyone needs to know each other, so me seeing or anyone seeing. Aha, here it is, this is how it looks separable. We already know what the powers are. How it all can be set. Are there any possibilities? Simply designing this system. Question about bypass also. Often you need to know about it because the bypass causes or YM bypass at such an angle that we must always have the possibility what? Some way out. If the inverter breaks down, the aggregate will work from the grill side, and it will work. If why? I don't know. It's just gonna break. Our generator will break down, right? Or we don't have a network that's what we need. Fast switching. In order to install or whoever does not do this. So that the customer can quickly. Bypass current is used for this so to speak. Leave the installer because at 12 he will not run to customers because something happened unless he has because this bypass will not do. Connection of aggregate YY. From which side we connect it, from the ICE side or from the generator side. Inputs to the inverter or from the glide side. However there are possibilities. Why a few different too since we will be under. Where to connect PVP. We can also organize it in different ways. So these are also why questions like why. How we can organize it all. Connection. He does not additional. I don't think I threw it. Connection of additional PV. The question is whether we will. Had the possibility of additional generators. Why with photovoltaics connect. For additional power supplies. Additional power supply for YY to YY. To this inverter. Are we able to do it? YY charge control. The point is this. For example, can we control that YY chargers? Our car turns on at certain times or something. Generally, can we control it as if it were charging? In essence, unloading this system. How do we want to do this? Will it be YY Home Assistant? Will it be Mshaus or YYGBB Optimizer? Will it be you? What else is there? The cloud and so on. It's about charging control, unloading. Which direction will we go? Will it just be self-consumption, really? Critical circuits. It's important to think about whether we have, for example, YY, such circuits that must have power all the time. Yes, there will be, for example, a TV in the houses. There's something else in the fridge. We can power the whole house. We can build it the way we want, right? But it's important to know. We want to have it all the time, okay? And we can let it go. For example, if we don't have electricity, we don't have a network. Yeah, something is happening, right? Next question, dynamic tariffs. Can we be on them? Because the system is also built differently for dynamic tariffs. We can also sell electricity under dynamic tariffs to the network. So, there's also a system here. Does the energy storage have to be appropriately enlarged by this to be able to sell, have these surpluses? Yes, especially in the autumn. Because it's much better in the fall, even if the electricity is paid for. So it's great to have a bigger energy storage. PV and grid power limitations. Well, we've also talked about this a bit. So what? How much can we build at all? YY. For example, in our little garden, and we just can't. End of the YY topic. What are the actual limitations of the network's power? Because we can increase these connections to a certain extent, size, but at a certain moment, they will tell us that we can't. You have to do it additionally. Lead the cable. Leave something there or a transformer. So these are also the next things. What are the problems with the network? Are they frequent or are they rare? Is it a matter of frequency? So as you can see, there are a lot of things which are worth thinking about, and I hope so. That all this is a bit much for you, huh? I clarified the truth to approach the topic comprehensively. And above all, know what you want. Yeah, so now in the end yeah. Just a moment about the calculator. You have a calculator below. By the way, thanks for the subscription. I wanted to show you two different options. This is an option where I didn't have a car. So we have YY. Consumption of about 7,000 kWh per year. Yeah, comparing winter to summer was just, it seems to me. I feel like there's something going on around me. You see, it's all so easygoing. About 70%. From winter to summer consumption. Yeah, next thing. If we compare these periods. Just now, outside of production hours, that is, in those hours the not most, the biggest, the largest and the levies. And even without the sun, it's true. So we'll have a comparison in the summer. Well, during that summer period, it was about let's say 65%. And in winter, let's do 60, right? Something like that, yeah, in winter. Well, let's just say it was 70% truth, so we have a situation. The NOM system here calculates very quickly. Let's give him a moment. 18 kWh, and I'll tell you honestly. Even though I'm 25, I could easily handle it. But at the moment when he arrived, when I got it, yes, an electric car, that has changed. Well, it would be nice to have about 40, really. Because I used to come in the evenings. No, and it would be better to have more. So, take a look. Things have changed for me. So, we'll do 13,000 kWh now. As for winter consumption, well, it's just probably a little more fluffy. Reduce it, yeah. We already have 13 spread out for an electric car as well. And this heat pump is no longer playing such a big role. So let's do 65 here. Sorry, 65%. And as for the issue of comparison, use these evening periods, winter and summer. Let's assume it will probably be 65. We'll increase it a bit. No, 650, and in winter it will be even less. Well, let's accept 80%. So, we have a difference here. Look at the summer and winter consumptions, huh? Daytime or rather evening. No, because there will definitely be more during the day. There will be YY at night. It's much less in the summer, isn't it? But still, it's really getting on my nerves. Because sometimes it's like that. I'm going to come at night. I sometimes recharge and so on. It will turn out to be about average and already under 37. Under 40 kWh, that's us. Here, I suggest a calculator. Simple calculation. Simple logic. Based on evening consumptions. Just to increase the self-consumption. So, as you can see, this calculator is just YY. Maybe not very precise, but it's very general and works well. Check it out, test it. I invite you to the next one. A film in which I will show you the possibilities of different combinations in various situations. So, thanks for the likes, thanks for the subscriptions. I invite you to the next videos in this educational series. So, I'm sending you my warmest regards.